very good afternoon to everyone. So here I am the host Ayushi with you on Troopel.com. Now we have someone really special who want to share their personal views and professional views on their work and as well as their professional life, the personal life. But then how come it matters, when two couples are working together and then also they are having a personal space in their life. Maintaining the professional space and maintaining the personal part is quite difficult for people, but then still they are managing none other than Mr. Prashant Bhatia and Mrs. Aditi Bhatia. We are here. Welcome to Troopel.com, guys. How are you doing?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
I am perfectly fine. Thank you so much for asking. So let's start it this way. So why don't we just go for a quick introduction of you and your company, and then we'll start ahead. So, Mr.
Sure.
Prashant, I would like to
Yes.
hear from you that what came up in your mind that to start such a beautiful product project, I can say a company which is related to educational part. So can you just give us a brief that how does it start away?
So, see, I have worked a majority of my life in the United States. Did my bachelor's, my master's. I'm a lawyer there as well. I worked in the IT industry for Bank of America Merrill Lynch for a good 20 years. So, brought that experience back here to
Okay.
India. And, the education system that we saw in the US, that we see in India, we were not very satisfied with it.
It's
So,
completely different. It's completely different then, yeah.
right, but even in US, I wouldn't say it's the great. European. Now, after doing all this research, me and my wife, she's the creative head and the content head, basically the R&D. So she came up that Norway has the best education system. So basically we took all the snippets and brought everything online and started the online concept when nobody was actually thinking about it at that time. So, that's kind of where we came through. We wanted to utilize my IT experience. So that's why we decided to set up, a small office here in India. We have our headquarters are in Bhopal for India and in Princeton, New Jersey for US. So that's how it kind of, slow and steady we started back in 2017.
Okay, so coming to Mrs. Aditi, so how are you feeling? Like, this is something really very different you're doing since years, and now you're working as in, like, as Prashant said that you're working as a creative content and the R&D part. So how do you manage this work?
I completely enjoy what I do because we have 4 children together, and then I have to teach the kids anyway.
Mhm.
So I like to do
Okay.
research in terms of, how the brain is built and how
Mhm.
can the brain retain a lot of stuff. So we came up with flashcards in terms of how the brain can retain the information and for how
Okay.
long can a child study actually.
Okay. This
So
is something
yeah,
a great research we have been talking about.
yes,
No, I
yes,
would really like to know about this more. Can you just give me a brief that how does
sure.
that, it goes on?
Sure. So there's a scientist called Barbara Oakley, and she works in the
Okay.
United States,
Okay.
and she's written a book called Learning How to Learn. So she
Okay.
tells us that it's actually not easy for children to keep so much
Mhm.
information, stored in just probably, for so many hours they're studying. And how do they actually retain this? So the trick
Mhm.
behind this is that a child can only keep that information in his mind that he has been taught for 25 minutes. So
Okay.
Barbara Oakley states that there is an effect called Pomodoro effect. And that
Okay.
effect is actually used for children. So there's a Pomodoro timer also that's available at a lot of places. And
Mhm.
when you teach children for 25 minutes and then give them a break, so their brain has enough time to retain that information that has been taught to them. So this
Okay.
affects, yeah. So we have something called Stress Buster in the app, where when the child has
Mhm.
studied for 25 minutes, we then give them bubbles, like the bubbles start popping up on the application so that they have to burst the bubbles. And that is just
Okay.
because we want to divert their attention after 25 minutes from studying to, something
Stunning.
different that gives them a break. And that, so basically when they're learning from Praadis education app, they will be able to hold the information, that they're
Mhm.
studying from the app for a longer time as compared to other
Okay.
applications.
Okay.
So there's, yes, and
This
of course, yeah.
What more?
so this research is about something related with the a mind, and then as you said that it takes 25 minutes of span, like so to grab the things what you have been taught in the sessions. So
Correct.
it's something different. I also came to know. I would learn. I would, definitely apply this. Then for next 25
Sure.
minutes, I learn something, and then
Sure.
I'm gonna take a bubbles of something, and then I'll do something else.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll actually
Correct.
try this. I would love to do this
Correct.
because at
Yeah,
our times nobody taught us these things that we can
Correct.
actually study like this.
Yes, definitely. And I feel that in US, we have a very creative environment that we give to children. It's not all mugging
Mhm.
up, and that's why we have so many innovators
Yeah.
from other countries. And I want children here
Mhm.
also, in India also, to innovate as much as children are doing, like in abroad. And we
Right.
have Facebook, we have WhatsApp, they have Microsoft.
What's up?
Yet not. And why not we have these things coming up from India? So we are trying to
Right.
build the innovators for tomorrow. That's exactly what
Great.
we're trying
So,
to do through this application. Yeah, tell me.
okay. So, Prashant, I want to know from you that this was something you started in which year you actually, get the
so,
idea to start this company, and
so
from
we,
there
we
onwards to till now. Yeah.
so we
From
started
there
in
onwards to till now.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
It's a
we
delay.
actually no, 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 that's okay. So the in between that time period there was a pandemic also. So you must have gone through the pandemic things, and also how do you manage such things along with the work to keep your company as run as it should be?
So see, we have tried the same method with our children, and it's been successful. So in 2017, when we
Mm-hmm.
established the IT company, initially, we
Mm-hmm.
decided to do projects like, we're the IT company that was there, and then we put our minds together. And I was like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
enjoying this. So I talked to my wife. I said, I've been doing this for so many years, and you know. Service-based industry, that's not just going to cut it. We have to make up our own product. We have to have something that we can build on, and take it from there, take it to market, because everybody else is doing a service. What are we innovating? I mean, and having a background from
Exactly.
US, let's innovate something. Let's put together something that the future generations can use, put to good use our experience. So then we put our minds together, and we decided that and she has a very good creative mind, and we had created animations. Basically, we had published our book already by then in 2017. The
Okay.
Miracles of Lord Ganesha is our first publication.
This is a
Um,
plot, Ganesh. Okay, nice name.
yeah, it's available on Kindle and on Amazon. So basically,
Okay.
we were writing children's books, so animated children's books. So we decided that Lord Ganesha is where we should start the publishing
Start.
process. So then we decided that where to publish this. Everything is online these days. US, literally nobody buys books anymore. Everything is on a laptop, on a tablet. You want to keep
Right.
PDF, you can mark up everything. So that's where we took the lead and decided that, listen, it's time that we start working on this. Our original
Mm-hmm.
concept was to bring education to every village in India.
Mm-hmm.
We had even thought of,
Okay.
I visited a number of suppliers to come up with solar powered laptop tablets, basically. So even
Okay.
people in villages are able to, because Wi-Fi is, internet is already reached there. Electricity
Hmm.
is still somewhat of a problem. So that's what we thought of. That's where we started with that, getting children educated. And I visited during these before the pandemic. I visited places like Hazaribagh. I visited places like in Jharkhand, in Katni,
Hmm.
and I saw firsthand, what education, if you can bring about a revolution in education, you can do wonders. Right
Hmm.
now, everybody's stuck with that same book. They're right now,
Same.
is mugging up and then putting on the exam. But innovation is where
Hmm.
is. So then the pandemic came in, and that was actually a boon for us, because we started getting a huge
Uh,
number of downloads, people wanting to
and
learn all over the world.
I believe that was the only time period where pandemic got digitalization, and then whole world was digitalized, right? And that was the boom period for you as well to give a hype to your product, to your app,
Yes,
isn't
and
it?
absolutely. And I was glad that we started working on this product in 17, 18, and we had a product to market in 2020, 21.
Yes.
And, our product is very well thought through. It's not like just put together and, put it online. So there's a lot of content, lots of videos. We teach in different modes of learning. And Aditi will give you a very good background on the number of modes of learning that we have. We've adopted what is called the WAT model, and she'll explain all that to you. Won't you tell me about
Yeah.
that?
So why not, Aditi? So Aditi, I would like to know that what kind of modules you have and how you actually, start these sessions and how interactive they are. Because, when it comes to students, when it comes to kid part, they have very creative mind there. And if you taught something in a very creative way, it's very easy to grab it, right? So
Correct.
can you just explain about the same?
Sure. So the human brain is a very complex organ of the body, and
Mhm.
every brain works differently. So I have had met a lot of neuroscientists from Canada who are actually neurosurgeons. And I got to
Mhm.
have a word with them, and I was very interested in how the brain actually works. So,
Works.
yes, we read about three parts of the brain. Initially, that is how we started. And we realized
Mhm.
that how a child's brain is learning, it's tremendously very, very interesting, in fact, that how the child's brain is actually retaining that information. Now, the first part that comes here is that every child is different. Even if you look at
Mhm.
siblings
Correct.
also, you will not find
Mhm.
any person or any sibling, brother or sister, similar to each other. They have different ways of thinking together.
Thinking to grab the things in a very different way.
Correct. So
Yeah.
the first question that arises here is that how will they learn from the same method? Because their brain is thinking
Mhm.
differently and they have different modes of learning. Because if a
Right.
child
Right.
is, there is one child who loves to read, there is another child who
Mhm.
loves to watch television and learn. There is another child who's saying that I don't want to watch TV, I don't want to read, I want to perform the experiment, I actually want to see how it works. So,
Right.
just like children, they just follow their parents because they're actually seeing their parents what they're doing. So they are more
Right.
of experimental. We call that kinesthetic kind of learning. So there are
Okay.
four modes of learning. Technically, it
Mhm.
is one is the verbal, where actually we are talking and the child is hearing, and that is how the brain is percepting that kind of information.
Perception.
Yeah, so the
Mhm.
other one is audio, and then there is reading and writing. Some children love to read and write, and then it gets into their head. And the fourth way is kinesthetic, where actually there are certain children who are learning, like I said, from experiments, from actually performing and learning. So we
Okay.
have accommodated all these modes of learning into one single application. And thanks to my children, because they're all different, and I have actually categorized all four of my children into different, kinds of learners. So I was like, okay, this child is actually a reader. My elder one, she loves to read, and that is how it gets into her head. My younger daughter she is somebody who's always playful. She wants to play and then she's going to learn. So
Learning. Yeah.
we have built up the kinesthetic part of it. So we have for all, we have all kinds of learners, and we have accommodated their learning styles into the application by giving them animated videos. Like someone is
Okay.
very interested in how the Disney movies come across and how the
Come
Disney movies.
across.
Yeah, so we have videos as interesting as the videos or as the movies. Like the 3D concept is so beautiful. We have sorry, we have accommodated that into the application, and that makes it very interesting for the child to learn. Then we have classroom videos, we have
So here I have a
reading.
question for you.
Sure.
So as you said, the video part, do we have any kind of animation videos for kids?
Yes.
To make it get kind of
It's
fun to
complete.
them.
It's
Yes,
completely.
yes,
It's
yes.
loaded up with animation itself. So we most of all
Okay.
our videos are animated. We have in 2D,
Mm-hmm.
we have in 3D form. Then we have what is called
Oh,
the VFX
cool.
videos. So and
Okay.
A
then
lot of there's a lot of creative and exciting things going inside the application. Then we have
Mm-hmm.
games, and then like I
Okay.
said, we have,
Quiz maybe, sometime
yes, we
quizzes
have
or
quizzes.
something like that.
Yes, yes.
no, and animated quizzes. So
Animated
then we
quizzes.
have a story. Basically, the same concept is
We
in
are
a story
telling
form.
stories, like a parent is taking the child to the garden and then explaining the parts of flowers. Like the
Okay.
parent is plucking a flower and then explaining the child about how the flower is actually made. Like there's the stamen, there's the stigma, there's the ovary, the petals,
Oh,
and that just
so
gets
this is very
into,
interacting.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Right.
most important part, I would say, is we are actually appreciating the children in terms of when they achieve the level that they are supposed to achieve, as per their class and as per their brain.
Right.
We are actually giving them exciting gifts like t-shirts, there are cups, there are
Oh,
bags. So the more you study, the more you win,
more
basically.
you win.
Yes, yes.
So
So
it's a
that is,
win-win situation for any
yes,
children that,
yes,
if you learn more, you'll get more. So it's
correct.
something kind of a win-win to them. Nice.
Yes.
Acha, one more question now here I came. So what I get to know from this discussion that this is something, called an educational app where there are a lot of more educational apps going on in the market, right?
Yeah.
But what makes your app different than from other apps? Maybe know that, like how exactly you can differentiate this part.
So the best part is we actually decided we are not in any kind of competition because the children are so soft. I mean, these people are made differently. So we can't actually, be very professional or we have to be very loving towards them. And the app says all about it. It's a very beautiful app, very creatively made, and we are absolutely not in competition with anyone at all in the market. They're all there, they're
Mhm.
all their players, but we are here to make it, make a difference actually. So our long term goal also, it involves the learning in the villages, because that is
Mhm.
where we actually want to reach. And like he
Reach.
said, yeah,
Mhm.
and like
And it's more
Prashant said,
important because in
yes,
rural areas there are very few people who know such things about it.
yes,
In
yes,
urban areas, at least people are quite aware about these things. I
correct,
think that
correct,
is very correct, very correct.
And,
yes,
and what sets us apart is that we have live videos as well, now live classes.
Okay.
So we are basically created in a classroom setting. But now the modes of learning that Aditi just mentioned is what sets us apart.
Mhm.
We have accommodated every kind of learner, because that's where I
Okay.
think the Indian education system lacks, is that teaching everybody with the same medium. So
Mhm.
and believe it or not, we have small studios set up in our office. We have imported basically different kinds of smart boards where we teach,
Okay.
so that are used all over the world. So to create these different
Okay.
experiences for different children, so
Mhm.
that they never get bored using the app. It's always exciting
Okay.
to open up the app and be able to. And then we have challenges like Aditi mentioned.
Mhm.
Based on that, you can earn
Right.
points, and then the points can be redeemed for material things. So that's
Mhm.
how we make it exciting.
Acha. Acha, so now one thing with your professional part. So here my last question to you. With if you really want that viewers are gonna listen this video. So what is the one message you want to give them as a parent to communicating that how they should communicate with their children in terms of education? What is that one message you would love to give?
To the
do you want to
parents.
answer it to the
Mhm.
parents? I think children are everything and just love. I mean, the kind of upbringing they need is a very peaceful environment that they need, and they're very tender in terms of watching YouTube or the advertisements,
Correct.
or they're not meant for such things. So our app comes in handy, as in with no advertisements, absolutely safe environment for children, because my own children also learn from the application. And yes, I think there is no set of rules that you can actually impart to any child. I think it's everything just
Ex-
love. I mean, that's all
Exactly.
they need.
See, we as parents say, this is how I studied, this is how we did it. So I think we have to
Correct.
put
Yeah.
that aside and not think about how
Yeah.
I studied and be and
That stereotype thinking we really need to keep aside and then start it again. Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Now you have
And,
different technologies. So our app offers everything.
yeah.
So you
And
have.
I
Everything.
think the only suggestion that I would have is saying yes to your children. That's what I tell all the parents, because we are always telling children, no, don't do this, don't do that,
No.
don't do this. And we're never, appreciating that, what they do. So I
Their
think saying
achievements,
yes,
their
yes,
rewards. We never reward them. Correct.
yes.
I
Positive
We
agree
have
with
to
you.
positive
reward them.
positive
Correct.
Because
reinforcement.
at this age also, I didn't get any reward from my parents that yes, you're good enough. So I can feel that.
Yes.
I'm actually gonna ask my mom today that why you're not rewarding me. So what if I'm a big grown-up girl? I need rewards.
This is something we actually thought about with that's how we came up with rewards, is that, we tell the children,
Correct.
you did not study this, you didn't do this, but what about the
Yes.
time that they
Right.
actually spent studying, with the actually solving, even if it was
The only example that I give for this, I would just conclude by this example. They say, when the child is actually growing up and actually driving on roads, and if he is not stopping at the red light, there are so many
Right.
people actually coming to bash the person, right? And
Correct.
when the person is always following the rules and regulations, there is no appreciation that is being given to that person. So I
Correct.
think that we need to appreciate good people and goodness in this
Well,
world. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So that's why we give
so
rewards for performing and
that's a very
studying.
nice lesson, actually, that we should reward anyone, even if it's a grown-up kid, even if it's a grown-up anyone,
Correct.
like a small kid also.
Correct.
Everybody is in need of appreciation, and we should appreciate their hard work, their
Absolutely.
talent, and the way, because as you said, I really agree that every child is very different.
Correct.
Considering each other's mind, few people are very creative. People like you and me are so creative, and
Yeah.
people like other, they are quite practical in doing things,
Correct.
experimentation part and all that. So
Correct.
it really differs. Yeah. So like this, we can proceed. So thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
views
you.
on your product, on your app. And I really love to ask my viewers that please just go ahead with this app. Actually, you're gonna love this app, as they said. So here we have Mr. Prashant Bhatia and Mrs. Aditi Bhatia on our platform, Troopel.com, saying bye-bye to you all. Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much. Thank you. Thank you.